Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Senator Mullin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I just want to make an observation here, and this is not trying to be confrontational to you at all. You've had enough of that. I don't really feel like doing that today. I haven't ate, so I'm trying to be in a good mood. But I just say, first of all, you mentioned a while ago as a bragging point that you're battling the Houthis, a terrorist organization. You call that success when they don't even have a Navy. If we wanted to eliminate them, we could. If we wanted to just stop what they're doing, we could. By holding them back for 6 months, but yet they're still disrupting and still have the ability to attack shipping freighters, that's not a win. That's far from a win. We're the United States Navy, and we were, at one time, the largest Navy, but we've succeeded that to China, which goes back to what Eric Schmidt was saying about the idea of the climate being the biggest threat to China. I really don't think China is too concerned about the environment at this point. In fact, they're laser focused on us. And in fact, they're running circles around us. In fact, as you know, Mr. Secretary, they have the largest Navy in the world now. They built 30 ships last year alone. We barely completed 2. That's a problem, don't you think?
That is a problem.
That's a huge problem. Yeah, we're retiring 50. According to your all's records, you guys have roughly 50 that you're going to retire or have to go in for maintenance. It's going to be out of service by 2028. We have 292 ships currently on the fleet. Not all of them are actually at sea. They had 370. I'm sure they're laser focused on the environment. Our concern is, are we safer today than we were? The answer is that is probably not. Probably not. Because we're trying to balance the environment with world power. And your body language would just, honestly, just aggravate people just by the way you're behaving. And I mean that sincerely because you don't take it serious. In fact, it's serious to us, and you almost joke and laugh about it with your body language. And I'm just saying, as a constructive criticism, that could be a problem because we want you to succeed. The last thing I want you to do is not to succeed. But even when you was pressed by Senator Scott over here, Rick Scott, you made a reference to the last the last administration, why you're in the situation you're in today, because they had something under bid, but yet we have current things that are constantly coming under bid. You've been in position for how long now?
2.5 years, Senator.
2.5 years. How long has this administration been in place?
About 3.
I think it's time to start owning your own responsibilities and still blaming the previous administration. And yet you sit there and you go, nah. That's the problem. Sir, it's not that we're just trying to be confrontation with you. It's that I don't think you're hearing us. It's like, you know best. We're just senators up here and we have no opinion. That's a problem. And so if you want to try getting along so we can all get in the same boat and row together, then let's have a serious conversation about actually moving forward and what our priorities are. The navies need to be focused on winning fights. Let the EPA worry about the environment. Now, switching gears totally. Admiral, good to see you. I want to talk a little bit about Genesis. And I say this because we're having serious recruiting issues. I mean, I had a conversation this morning with three people that their sons were all trying to get in the service. One is a D1 track athlete. Waited 8 months to finally get in, and they were giving him a hard time because of Genesis, because he's broke a leg or two. There was some other one that had some health concerns from his past when he was a little kid, and he actually dropped out after 6 months of trying to be in. By the way, all these are D1 athletes. Another individual had some issues with their shoulder, still competing, but couldn't get in the service. And I just kind of go around. I mean, I was a pretty rambunctious kid. I broke a lot of bones. And I would believe that most boys that they haven't at least broke some bones probably didn't live a good life growing up, because you got to push yourself. My son currently is a D1 wrestler for Oklahoma State. Got cleared to wrestle internationally, got cleared to wrestle by USA, by NCAA wrestling, and he has having a hard time getting cleared in because he's supposed to report to boot camp this summer, and yet he hasn't got cleared yet. I'm not bringing it up for my son to fear do anything. I'm just saying, is Genesis actually helping us? Because they start looking at an accident he had when he was 7 years old when he got bucked off of a horse and he broke his arm. And they asked him a question about it. 7 years old, broken arm. Is it really working? I mean, I understand what Genesis is trying to do. I get that. But at some point, is it getting in the way to help us recruit, or is it actually hindering our ability to recruit?
Well, thank you. And, we've had a lot of discussions about Genesis. Actually, all of the service chiefs and OSD working with DHA, which is the owner of the system, to provide this kind of feedback of where it is potentially slowing things down. And I think, just in my time as the CNO, that we've made some definite improvements in streamlining the process, in reducing the amount of times people have to go back and get paperwork. And DHA continues to take this feedback. And I will provide this feedback right now as well to them as we continue to move that process forward. So I think, it's a little bit of growing pains with the new system. We're really committed to working with DHA to make sure that it does what it needs to do to get us our recruits into the system as quickly as possible. Okay. So again, I would like to get with your staff offline on those because it's always good to have examples,
right.
Because it helps illustrate exactly where some of the holdups are.
We'd love to work with you on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Mullin. Senator Cotton, please.
Admiral Franchetti, I want to start